Good morning. It is February 20th, 2020. My name is Bill McCanley. I'm the Secretary of the New Mexico Workforce Solutions Department. It is the last day of the 2020 New Mexico legislative session. And remember, this is a 30-day session where the big things that get debated are the budget for the next upcoming year, as well as things that the governor feels are important to address, and she can put it what they call on the call to talk about. And so there's 3 or 4 things that happen this session. The session actually doesn't end for another couple of hours, but for us at Workforce Solutions, there were a couple things that got done this year that I want to tell you about. First of all, the budget. We should have a good enough budget to be able to hire a couple more people in our labor relations department to help us investigate wage theft. Now, this is, remember, twofold. The first is if people are supposed to be getting paid minimum wage and employers are not paying them that either at the minimum wage level or when they are working as servers, they don't get enough tips to cover the minimum wage and they don't get that from their employer to make up for it. That's illegal. The other one is called public works minimum wage. And so any public project like a pool or a school or a dam that is built, the craftspeople on those jobs, the electricians, the sheet metal workers, carpenters, et cetera, and so on, they have a certain amount that they're supposed to be paid for their experience level. So if they're an apprentice, a journey person, or a master, they have to get paid X amount of money. If they are not, then the contractors that are involved are not following the law, and we need to get the money back for them. So we should have enough to get a couple more investigators, and we're going to figure out which way those are going to go. We have a big backlog in our minimum wage department of over 1,900 cases. Our goal is to get that down to about 800 cases by the end of the year through a couple of different strategies, but one of them is to put additional resources there. If we can do that, some of our prevailing wage folks have actually been helping with minimum wage. If they can focus on prevailing wage, we should be able to help those. So we should be able to get those things done. Secondly, a prevailing wage theft bill passed last night. That does a couple of things. Number one, it allows for damages if a company does not pay their workers a certain amount to equal those from the minimum wage level, which are called triple damages. So right now, if you don't pay your minimum wage worker, the minimum wage, over time that adds up. The worker is not only entitled to get that money back, but also again and again, triple damages. And that's supposed to be a disincentive for employers to not pay their people. That wasn't the case in the prevailing wage category, which means that employers really didn't have any disincentive to not pay their workers. So that exists now. Furthermore, there's a whole set of mediation criteria that is put in there that allows us to go talk to employers that may not be doing this on purpose, but screwing it up just to get workers their money. I will say on that prevailing wage side, the only stick that our department has in terms of enforcing that law is to just do a blanket ban on the company for a certain amount of time to not be able to apply for projects. And that should be used very sparingly. It's a very, very hard penalty, but until this year, when that bill just passed, that's the only punishment that we had. So we're hoping to not have to employ that too much and do things on mediation. And then when workers really are needing to get their money, they can get their triple damages for the time that they didn't get their money to begin with. Last couple of things I want to talk about are, number one, the reform for the Public Employees Retirement Association is a huge important thing because it solidifies the retirement accounts for people to get their pensions if they're state workers. We have one of the best accounts in the country, or best programs in the country. And if you look at other states, they went away from this type of model because the financing was really hard. And the reforms that we got today, where there's shared sacrifice, the government's putting in more money, the current employees are putting in more money, the retirees are putting in more money, should allow that process to be solidified for years and years to come, which is great news for our workers and our future workers. The last thing, and this is so important, and you wouldn't normally think this is a Workforce Solutions issue, but is early childhood education. The governor a couple days ago signed a new early childhood trust fund. It's going to allow for millions more dollars to be put into early childhood programs every year. And this is so important for a lot of different reasons. But one thing that most people don't think of is there's a great report out of Arizona that shows when you put resources into early childhood education, not only do the kids benefit, but the parents of the kids feel like they have more freedom and ability to go back and get retrained and get better jobs. So this is great for everybody. So those are the things that happen kind of this session in a nutshell. As always, if you have questions, comments, or concerns over these or any items, I'd love to answer them for you. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks.